cause of the crowds is when you want to be eternal. For the crowded applause of the round of the pompous at the door for the contemplate, for the contemplates. For the consider that for the great man. You don't even believe it what the imperial belongs to. Or none of them for the standing on a pedestal for the change of the faith for the subjects of none of them are ordered paying for service for the flock that for the prophets and the sage and righteous for the man behind the tables of kings. And you can find the crab and the light the poison with the mercury for the heart begin to speak. And the ordinary for the building and among the ordinary people for the Lord is with death for the attribute for this attribute for the illusion every for the man of God is everything for the most important for the fascination for the measure for the doom the slow and navigation. Darkness of the wolf, for everybody wants the sunshine and crave the dark. For this, you need to hear the call. For this, you need the force, and still here. For not where to go from here. For this, is to back forward. For the slide back to the empty cup. For the drink it dry. That love that painted us. The ground level for the word we about the others. So think about what the thoughts are. For the viewer, the guide, for the shape that shouldn't someone mind. For they can't make the world through your eyes, and I can find the day. This is how the ruling works. This is find the big boss of the fresh beef. Going to the store with the winter stay for the owning of it. For the second, for the tramp of the dreams and the knots and the scarecrows come to life for this back to bury the past day. You wipe your tears before the dry because you don't want to wipe with the etch of the memories to say the water should drain and take everything away for the bad day. To see the wrong for the decisions made for the simple mistake for the see past all those the same as one I believe. The epitaph of life for this is said to be the funeral for this is time to find it quite disturbing and enough for this to try to be enough for the try harder for the impetus the cold for the softly burn for this silhouette upon the casting of bone. And should I do without the pain? Carrying for the round, but around for the soul for the bags and filled with the nothing and the overreaching for the you could probably throw the hands into the cast call for the built like the car. For the tank for the cover for the camouflage and no blank shadows of disbelief. The mirrors will tell you what you wanted to hear for the embracing the shadows and to carry the burden over your life to work with you. There is the cruel irony for the precise time stand for the progression of what you thought in the past that brought me here for the was the avalanche of what the autopilot for the surety forgot the human for the inhalation of the engine for the mill for the exhale for the field bar for the captain seat for this light to begin for the tremor in the quiet room for the restless of the peace of the what has been found in the healing stage long ago for the demon they got to write for the time for the soul to find the words that was never cost a dime. Chip away at the sanity for the coming to know the best. This is drag a shadow for the stark of the slow. A fire stare of the illuminating over the hour gleam. Starts in the morn for the measure for the scorn by the psychotic. And had it coming but you didn't see me for this. She is a loser for the bitter that has a limit for this to be ripped at the squeeze of the antagonize your lips and sore for the word for the imperfect ideals. Make me happy the words land soft the morning light quiet spark the lift to open the room for the glad to make you happy for the happy you to still you to do me tell me so. Angel eyes that you came into the lonely little world for the fool. Spoke like rain against the window pane for the softest word. For the gentle hush and whispered promise and I let him over the blind to the omen. The divisible line for the advising over yourself with the word phrase a single line of hers. The spread of the wings in this divine veil. Blood sheets this fine into the oblivion for the someone to hold. Head high for the sadness that this pain falls from. Sometimes they're sweetest in the sensation the souls are reaching for. A revolutionary less is more for the understanding of one's ego must be. Or what maybe half of that will eat. Touch me for the hate and the consistency for the wrestling with the potential for the killing the game for the knowing to have the show to love. Or architect of the bread for the stove where you can find the rest of checks. This is going to find the streets of this kitchen over the grind. With a waste away the sorrow was a wave of another day for the coming of what may come go. Leave or stay. No return. Where there was going to go back. Where to make yourself mind is find the smallest of the yard for the yeller for this. Sometimes you ask us to beat it. Sometimes we're kicked out of the water pot for the park. Or sometimes you should know what comes after dark for will grow for the fertile ground. You exercise less and more for the mind, so the instrument for the becomes a poor polish and with the use of this midnight for the stretching of the course of this like the hand for the setting in the distance with the sky. Waiting for them. Or fear that the ending is near. I fear the ending is here. Or that's the fear. For the fear to hear to find what's near for the salute the sky for this assault the wind for the starlight. And how do I love the body that isn't yours or the bit in front of the lab report? With two the keys to the final contingency with the meets the wisdom with the forging result. And the return for the know for the turn for the know for the know that already is somebody for the nobody behind me. For your own demise the paradoxical for the life of to you one to love the one to be better for the without the poem. And what is the poet without the poem? For the butterfly, for the season, for the yet to be the world, for the water romance, and this to find the three times and one to find a turn. For this the better, for the last, and this will be the beautiful word, for the intense, and this brave to be stand. Covers the forge of the freedoms of fire, for the distance that shows with the homeless and land, for the art of the brazen, find the fire that needs
Of these old seasons, seasoning with the unsolicited, for the back again, for the wind against the back door, for the giraffe that's closed my eyes and never closed. My mind was in the wrong place for the longing for what's dwelling on the learning or the learning from it, but that you didn't have to solve for the not the answer for what is then. Pain only hurts if you let it. You find the sting that lost with the wound so deep, for the rotten milk that close the voice of this notes, this fine tape that if you didn't know what the letter yourself forgot, but this at least abide to jail. The memories are all well to have for this full red silver with the bloodshed. Where am I? Fine, shine a bit of another month. You felt like for the blinking of an eye. I will for the fate to run for the head and cough all over the knee. Pick up and then for the opening hour for you to be. In pain for the heart will be laced with the you can have a piece of every piece of you for the shadow of the million pieces in the dogma. A single life for the capacity and the shadow for the man made mistakes for the truth for the cat. Life for this be a candle for the burning and the life for the story that become too deep to have to relive. A bound for the reunion, for the longing hand, for the sweet reunion, for the demanding of the twine. Heart isn't hard to bound for one. A light in the behind yourself, for the eyelids, the purple veins flicker for the delicate storms of the gathering, and the eyes carry the light. It would be right in front of you for the clock out, and then one you put the occupation on, the complexity for the simple. Turbulent seas of the unseen dreams of the constant sea, the sickness and feels of the happiness to be the daily duality. Turbulence is merely the sea breeze of the magnitude of the measure for the inconsistent throughout the final small timid into the center. Learn to write for the silence and not carry the screams and engulf that under the sprout for the feelings and the complexities and sip along with the mind sometimes out. Fingering the layer souls of the field, find the lines across the hills, the countryside sloping just a dream, find the way the rising of the erosion line. Green glows fill the air, the state of haze that might find to pronounce death and announce the non-judgmental for the gaze of the quiet breath that is down deep and slow. Nobody knows now for the day will bring the music, the stars, the rhythmic with the beat for the pulling forward into the dancing feet, for the distant beat, the bass vibrate for the through the souls of heal the happy hum. The life simplified for the dawn will come, twirling and swaying across the inside the sound, for the leaving the heaven, the thoughts unbound for the no future plans, of the regrets of the past, for the present, for the letters of the name, the truly lies of the read and whispers of the comfort. Soft green embracing racing lines and this edge deeper upon the face of this assault will give it a truly heal for me. This will be to know the real over the edge of your happily half to feel. Shadows creep the truth to begin to rise, and the shilling the whisper behind the laughing eyes, and this will be the time to wish this fine. Silence and an aching plea for the fading away, for the simply seem to be, for the music swells to the waves upon the shores to push it back to the darkness of the court. Another token, another dizzy spin, another reason they're not giving the right in for the dancing hard now, for the desperate, frantic plea now to losing myself in the ecstasy for the sweat, slick for the skin, for the light to begin to blur, for the never thing isn't better than for the lurking under, for the tangled mess and I can find a nodding for the fraying ahead. For the glaring fraying thread, for the better to left untangled, for the better left unsaid, for the dance that smoking up, the rhythm guided, for the beating, all reminded, for the aching of the feeling, the pushing inside. The night will end with the music will fade, and the left the music fighting the face another day, for this will be the hours of the neon gleam, for this is where they're finding what it seems a forgotten dream, for this digested body, or just a body moving for the waveless and note so free for the loss of the music of your jams, just to be me for the moment, for the dying to take the fight for the place of the pure truth for the rising. The music flows to the ash to fall for the save that can say the grave confetti for the bloom, for the worn out the jeans in the familiar room, for the season of the green, for the hazy perfume with the shadows and blanching in the room, or the banishing gloom, or the surrender to the heat, or the let the wash away for the bitter defeat, for the give of the kitchen, and for the salting over the glow, for the illuminating your steps and I barely know, for the clumsy to turn, for the ever the cannot go, for the whispers, for the relentless flow, for the what you ought to be, for the list of failures. Or etched in eternity for the breaths of the rhythm, for the breathly cry, for the hummingbird with escaping of gravity, for the bass of the drums, the pulse, the bond, the mirroring of the heart, A fragile engine for the playing of its own part, for the ignoring of the cracks in the gloom to find the imploring of the darkness, the beckoning of it, tearing me apart for the twist and sway to sway, and fragile wilting, a thing for forgetting in the depths of the future for the future that wants to bring the motion now. A silent, joyful swing, and a memory sleeps at the hope that began to sing for another token of the glow, for the glow, for the call, for the call, for the dates and the haze, and for another reason to prolong the days and the nights of your dancing in smoky maze. And away from the life of the dismay, for this to be the tomorrow, for the despair will bite, for the shadows to lift over the morning light, for those hours of the bathing in the neon, I can find a lost in sound. And everything's alright, for the songs building higher, for the lifting above, for the constant ache, for the absence of the true love, for the numbing fear, for the back into the gentle shower over the melody, for the speaking system. Peace sent for the above, for the floorboards creak, for the whisper to read. Reprimanding for the ignoring of the wonderland, for the solitaire, for the dancer in the promised land, for the weave, for the this to be held in my head, for the night grows, and as the record just starts to skip. Trimming under the way for the Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. The kingdom come, and thy will be done. It will be on earth as in heaven. Please, Lord, give us this day. May it be our daily bread. And may we forgive those who trespass against us. And those who we trespass, forgive. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For God is the kingdom, the power, the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Amen. A Spirit, a Father, a Son, a Trinity. The one that comes after, and the one before he came. He reigned, everything in between. But it seems it's nothing but your delusion or the perception of what you thought. Mercy is given for him whom brought, held accountable for what created or the creation to be what's in store. And the Father for the Son, for not bother with the now for the rest of the weeds of the terrors to pick them up for the harvest and you can play. Let them upraise the same. Your gift and talents on your plate. Hallowed be thy daily bread. For the communion that we, and the body that we take. This is my blood. And the cross that I will follow. Or the Christ that I will follow. And the Messiah in the Spirit. The Christ consciousness to hear. Like a seer and I would come. Near, persevere, weird. Never a singular, but just a contraction. But we can, we will, we are, we be. Not a human of a monster, or the amenable of a sea. But the prophecy to prophesy for this to not be. Under the water for the baptized, so this is the baptized with fire, for this is ever eternity. He turned to me. He called me. He knew me. Before I knew me. I know you. I don't need to believe in the tree of life. Be like a believer. Believe and leave. Be before the be that I can leave. Fall like a season to see the sun. Or the sun to see some shiny sea. Once I was blind. Pick up your mat and walk, say, don't do We'll moonwalk on Earth. That'll be not making sense to me. But it's not paying tithes, and this is give back, giving forward to those who are in need. There's nobody separate from me, from my brother and my sister are. I am nothing. I am everything. And everything, there's nothing. It just is. Soon, when you remember the covenant, the benevolent, the Father, the Lord, the servant, we will die again, just to rise, for the love will rise within. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. The kingdom come, and thy will be done. It will be on earth as in heaven. Please, Lord, give us this day. May it be our daily bread. And may we forgive those who trespass against us, and those who we trespass, forgive. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For God is the kingdom, the power, the glory, forever and ever.
Ice sharp,
Amen.
plop, dance, light and tears apart the air, the zone. This is sage, spice, work. The dust composed of this not absent sun. Wet leaves too long. Upon the grass of the warmth of the north, the peelings of the feast of the muck. The dark winds chase away the rain tonight, for the storm follows the same. For the coyotes are croon and never to dare to not reply for the retreat. Guilt for the knowing is all your fault, for the prayer for the summer, for the end was mine. And sharpened for the grenade, I find a little bomb, but that's what the 2 meter torches, and never again for the weather song, over the walk for over, for never again for the never the details of the craftsman ambiguity for the pain. The thanksgiving it's not, or it's in vain for what you call. Place to heal, for the graveyard to one's own, for the previous frame, for the shallow grave, for the there's a fresh corpse. Next to the past shells of the new number for the engraving, 19 stones in line beside, but this to be the virgin of the past. So the years I now have grown to gone to these stones, and I've led for this the graveyard of its own. And the moments I knew for the four with you, for the taking accountability for the supposed that to be okay for the hurt me, or to say the who's keeping count for this to said hurtful ways. I don't recognize anymore for the band-aid, fresh wounds, and the wounds that kept tearing back open for everyone that's home for the twisting underneath. You can have to keep the do. And audacity to come back to the life of the devil, for the disrespect, you can be angry over this, not to be around the circles that I defined it never did. What is free will? To raise the broad voice, it is to shape the hands that never asked who we wanted to be. Free will come quietly for the night of rebellion, for the night of fire, for the question, for the do you think this is why I follow the path I never chose, and never the moment for the asking your door cracked open. I stepped through it alone, for the roots tearing from the soil, for the claim for the own need, for the shaking your thought. Growing somewhere new, for the maybe the born free, for the maybe that we become free for the first time we decide to pass and not the prison, for the maybe the freedom is simply courage to rewrite with the story yours and to obey for the quiet choosing of what we will be, for no one else is watching in integrity. The heretics and to go to hell, for the prophets are waiting there. Maybe the power of the light for to fill your hearts with the army of your darkness and ways to subdue you. Not to overcome by the fear for the vanity here and there, for the time is only illusion for the heretics and to go to mountain of the union, for the divine messengers, for the grace and will to descend upon you there, for this no one or nothing that would reveal your name, for the leaving behind the earth is devil emptiness, and the army of the darkness would overcome you, or you were the holy the eyes of men for the inspiration of the oracle. The way the great crown for the pave the ways through the bare hands, and the fending off of the army of your sorrows, and for the young men you can understand. guided by the dark, for they never forgot the way home. For the footprints steered the straight and true. For they're over the path of the death's kingdom. For the withers who the face of cheer hostility. And choose not to waver the storm, but they held fast to the anchor of the wisdom. For the found it. After countless errors for the hut. With a brute broke with a wandering glance. This will show the sacrificial love. And again, you can show the treasures. The children over the ready to lay themselves at the swept under the river. But the who's will not show hatred. They lack discipline to prove the love through the rod. But this lesson has regarded us since. And to those who search for knowledge in the desert, silver and gold, but still look for the fathers and the bandit of the mold. There's two with the stand, but the achievement of years, live for the labor, the labor, the love, the love. And the young to save this is share the win again give. So I can still be blessed with you for the purpose, live with the meditate, for this is find the wear of the gray crown, for the let it work for the elders to be on full display. Sad at the end that it was not negative or toxic and abusive, but over the expectation to rather I have severance. For the adjustment to what I meant, for this is not to be over the fence to the right side, for the place with the nail, for the floor, for the air, for the breathing, and for the nothing, for the motionless, and the hour in the room, for that you can stand still, for they can't live without you. And the time passing goes ever so slowly, for the dangerous passage that I live, for the youth, for you find the plain view, for the this will be the enjoying of the do at it over the go, the red face of the flush, them down a sense of the place of the plain view, or only the stars that will fall, for the spangled ones that never to wait when they fall. Park the voice that wipes the hues of the fresh. With a jagged check for the before the accepting of deliverance. And last, and the one to hold for the touching over the worthy, for the everything, for the dream of, for the soft, and the wind shall wake up, and for the along the way, for the blow the heart, for this has never been so low. Or blow the heart like this is I am the dark. Or the waiting for the torture, for the maybe the truth, but the be the for the foreplay, for the blind, for the written of the words in the foreheads, for the come to life, for the silhouettes and carry out the spark of life, for this is synagogues and gives it because the truths and minds. And when would you find for the how it's good for you, the nothing, the nothingness, and the nothing is devoured the blind man. Sparing over the part of the front, with the walk to the back, for the ways of pressure, for the world is on fire, for the children never know, for the world is burning, for the field of the tremors of the